Hey, Bruce.
Hi, Steve.
Assume Carlo and Martian are both in, right?
Yes.
And your goalie?
Halak.
And can I just get your thoughts on that fourth line and moving Frederick to the middle? Do you think that will coax more offense out of him?
Maybe. I mean, it's his natural position. We've talked about putting players in their best spots. It's just we haven't had a lot of openings. Obviously, when Crowley had to leave for protocol, COVID protocol, it did open up a spot. And we looked at Jack. We thought maybe Freddie as well, McKaig. There's some different guys that can go in there. with Freddie, we like the progress in his game. He might get more touches in the middle, see how that plays out. I mean, it wasn't put together necessarily to drive offense. I mean, the people above that line should be taking care of that part of it. Hopefully we get some secondary, but it should be a line that can be physical. Freddie and Blidh, quick with Kuhlman, and Blidh's a good skater as well. And so maybe some forecheck presence, some ozone puck possession to wear down their D, that type of thing with their offense. So we'll see how that plays out. He's good on the draws. Good to have a left stick in there. Again for situational, whether it's PK or whatnot. So that's the other reason he stays there, and don't have to drop him down the line if he's on the left wing with Coyle, and then kind of start messing around with it.
Thank you.
Sophia Yerkstovich.
Hi, Bruce. 2 questions, if I could. Yesterday, Zach Senyshyn told the media that I forget who asked him, but about the transition from the AHL to the NHL. Is there like an element of being timid, letting the veterans, giving them their space, deciding when to jump in? And basically, he said, like, no chance. If you sit around and wait for other people to do something, then you're talking yourself out of a job. I wanted to know if you felt that from him, if you felt he had that, like, let's, give it by 110%, or what you assessed from him so far this season.
Well, I liked his first game against the Rangers. He got hurt, unfortunately. Made 3 real good plays off the rush, was fine everywhere else. And he's a guy that went down to Providence. This particular year was scoring a little bit more. So that part of his game was coming around. When he was drafted, he'd scored in junior. So usually the guys that score in junior and then they go to the American League and eventually find their scoring touch, they have a chance to score in the NHL. There's usually a parallel there. So that's the part that we hope to get out of him, build good habits into his game. And yes, he has to be assertive. When it's his turn to shoot. He did the other night, run one off the shoulder of their goaltender. It was a good play. He's trying to get to the front of the net, make the appropriate play when he's supposed to. And at the end of the day, be a good defensive player, be good on the walls. And those things do require assertiveness. You have to win your battles. You have to be prepared to outwork the D that's pinching you, or the forward that's, sort of tracking you. And that's where I think Zach's been fine. And at the end of the day, there is competition here. Chris Wagner's out of the lineup. He's been in this league a long time. We know what he brings, but we're giving Zach an opportunity. But at the end of the day, we're taking out an NHLer to do it. So he has to understand that. And then he's right in his assessment that, got to take the bull by the horns. I mean, it's not his first call up, right? I mean, the first one, you usually give the guy a pass, whoever it is, and because they're getting a feel for it. And after that, it should be hey, take care of business, know what you're up against, and be ready to play in whatever role you're put in. And like I said, I think Zach's done that for the most part, and let's hope it continues to grow.
Great. Thank you for that. And really quick on Anton Blidh, he told Nesson in between intermissions when we asked him about his message for his role, and his words, not mine, he said, well, basically to be a pain in the ass for the other team. And I was wondering if that is just do you feel like that's missing, like frustrating the other team to draw more penalties, or is it just to be, was he reading into you saying like being hard to play against?
Well, I think he knows that. I mean, I had Anton as a younger guy in Providence, and his game, hasn't changed a lot. He's obviously grown, can make more plays, finishing a few more plays, which is normal. But he was always a guy that was, in on the forecheck and being physical and antagonizing people and drawing some penalties. He was always good on the penalty kill, could check well. Anton's a better player when we have the lead. We didn't have the lead the other night, so he's not as effective. So that's a bit of his strength, and so that's where some of these call-up guys, these depth guys, have been good for us over the years. Kuhlman's the same way. He's a pretty responsible player. and they're usually better in tie games and when you have the lead. So we've got to do a little bit more of that, getting the lead, hanging on to it, so those players can be more effective in their roles. So, but at the end of the day, Anton does have to get out there and find a way to be noticed with energy. And I saw him, he was going after Subban a little bit, trying to engage with him. So that's good. But whatever he needs to do to stay on his game, be effective, and hopefully get people off their game will help us and probably bring out the best in him.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Kevin Paul Dupont.
Bruce, 2 questions on the Wayback Machine, if I can.
Sure.
Did
I
you?
love the Wayback Machine, Kevin. Let's go after it.
Did you, as a kid, get to see much of Bobby Schmatz's career? Do you remember much of him, his style? Did you ever get to meet him?
I did not meet him. I did watch him a lot. My condolences to his family, obviously. Tough right winger. Bruins had a lot of tough guys, obviously. A lot of them were on that. It seemed like the left side for a while with Wensink and Jonathan and Secord, and then it was O'Reilly, I think, switched sides. But then Schmatz came in and obviously could score. He had a real good wrister. Seemed like he was a third line kind of right winger, as I remember him. Maybe playing with Greg Shepard, if I want to say, maybe Peter McNabb back then. But at the end of the day, I liked the way he played. Hard-nosed guy. Seemed to be a popular guy with his teammates, but no, I wasn't able to get to know him at all.
And the second one, I tried to get this in last week. I didn't. You gave the hat tip to the women in the Isabel Cup last week. I'm wondering, when you were, this would have been early 70s and you were learning, did girls come out and play with the guys? Because that was such a shift from when I was a kid, and now you've got your daughter playing.
Yeah, no, they didn't. And congratulations to the Pride. Good for them to get a championship, another one for Boston. So, but no, the girls typically did not play. They were more, I saw them mostly in figure skates, to be honest with you, Kevin. I don't mean that in a bad way. I didn't see a lot of girls wear the boys skates back then, whereas now they're always in boys skates. So obviously that changed somewhere along the line. Obviously the picks on the end probably is one of the reasons they wanted to just skate normally at some point. So and I don't know when that would have happened. I know it's been a number of years because I've had friends that have been coaching girls teams. Luke Richardson over in Montreal has a couple of friends of mine from Ottawa, and they coached their daughters for a number of years, and I think they went on to scholarships as well. So I know it certainly changed a while back. I just couldn't tell you exactly when. And, Shannon, she plays. Cole on his team has Maggie's is a girl on his team, and he's 10. So I think they'll play right up until they're able to nowadays. Shannon's on strictly a girls team now, but that might change down the road. So good to see them integrate. I imagine at some point the physical aspect of the game will force them off to their maybe their own sides, and maybe there'll come a day that will change too. Who knows? I mean, progress, is always moving forward. So hopefully I'm around to see that if it does happen.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ludo Shinzawa.
We should get Brandon back and all his strengths, but can you explain just the trickle-down effect that has to the rest of your decor, whether that's Grizzly moving down with him?
Yeah, it just balances things better, Fluto. I mean, we put Grizz and Charlie together knowing that our 2 best puck movers, 2 most experienced guys are on the same pair. I think some days it works out better, drives offense. We saw that against Buffalo, a couple other teams. The other night, maybe we could have used them split up in certain situations. So that's just the course we ran with. Now it allows us to get back. Losey's played a few games too under his belt now, so he can go back with Charlie. Charlie will help him move the puck. Grizz will be a good complement to Carlo and help him move pucks, and then he'll have a big defender beside him. So it just balances out your pairs a little better in terms of matchups. We're comfortable with either pair playing against first or second line. That's typically how it worked out. If there were certainly situations where the Lozon McAvoy would get the bigger bodies. We didn't want Grizz out there against too big a line because it put them in tough spots. But at the end of the day, now you have a bigger partner beside him and a bigger, 2 bigger guys in the first pair. So you should be okay with matchups that, you might lose in game and not get married to one particular one where you're yanking guys on and off the ice. So that's the trickle down effect. With Zaboral, he'll end up with Clifton. Zaboral did a great job, I thought, with Kevin Miller. Someone who can calm him down. Cliffy has to play his game first, play under control, and we'll see how that pair does. But right now, that's the way we're going to roll with it, and hopefully it works out for us.
Last question, Connor Ryan.
Hey, Bruce, looking at the power play, what have you thought of Grizzlick's play on that top unit so far this year? And is there any particular area of his game that you're looking for him to continue to focus on with that group?
Yeah, I think when our entries aren't there, that he's got to settle it down a little bit because he's the first guy back touching it. And they've been pretty good, but there's some games if their frustration sets in, he's got to be the one that quarterbacks it. And that's sometimes tough when you're a bit of the, I won't say younger guy, but a guy that hasn't been on it as much as, the Bergies and the Marshes. So that's a challenge for him. Excuse me. Face-off recognition, when we win the draw, Bergie wins a lot of them. Where it's the best option. And that's being a student of the game. All that's done in video meetings that were done this morning. And that's where he has to be better than most, because again, he'll have first touch off that face-off. So understanding what the other team does, and he's growing at that. He's a smart guy. He understands that. He just got to put lots of value in that part of it to just help you, give you that extra half second. As for the end zone, I'd like to see him roll around a little more down in exchange with Marshy. Torrey used to do that to open up some passing lanes at times. Certain amount of skill there because you're closer to the net. You're on the half wall. Typically, D don't go there, but he has the ability to do that. He did some of that last year when Torrey was out. Torrey was excellent at it, and one of his probably underappreciated strengths was ability to run the power play from the half wall. It's usually the forward, but Torrey could certainly go end up there. It just gives teams different looks, forces them to think about stuff. So a little more activity for Grizz finding those seams, because he is very good at seeing them, is what we're asking for out of that group when it gets stagnant. All right, there's no use forcing the play, but there's times when the other team's kind of got you in a position where there's nothing open, where moving around will free something up, and that's an area that again he can take more control of.